It's 6 p.m. in Cairo, and it's time for the news in English. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and Tunisian Prime Minister Sara Zafarani today witnessed the joint business forum. The two sides stressed the importance of the event in building economic alliances based on key four axes: industrialization, food security, energy, and logistic cooperation. They said alliances such as important to increase the exports of Egyptian and Tunisian products to regional and international markets. Both prime ministers also pressed for activating a Ghadir Accord with the aim of boosting trade exchange of the product supplies, accelerating the registration of drugs, and easing the customs release procedures. And Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli also said today that he discussed with his Tunisian counterpart Sara Al-Ja'farani a number of regional issues of mutual concern and the forefront, which is the Palestinian cause. Addressing a press conference along with the Tunisian Prime Minister, Madbouli reiterated the two countries' support for the Palestinian legitimate rights. The Prime Minister said that he agreed with his Tunisian counterpart on the importance of preserving the Libyan stability, security, and territorial integrity while rejecting any foreign interference in its internal affairs until elections are held in the country. On bilateral ties, the Prime Minister said that he aspires for doubling the trade exchange volume, which currently stands at less $500 million, far below the aspirations of the two sides. The Tunisian Prime Minister, meanwhile, stressed the importance of increasing investments in many fields. The Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and his Tunisian counterpart Sara Al-Zafarani today they chaired the Higher Committee meeting. This meeting touched on a number of important cooperation files, mechanisms to double the trade exchange volume, as well as optimizing the benefit from the promising investment opportunities in the two countries. After the meeting, both prime ministers witnessed the signing ceremony of a set of cooperation documents in various domains. And the General Commander of the Armed Forces, Minister of Defense and Military Production, General Abdelmajid Saqr, today witnessed the final stage of Egypt-U.S. drills. The stage saw the troops conducting a number of naval activities in defense against unsystematic threats and included surface artillery shooting using different rounds, as well as war inspection procedures to suspected vessels. Elite forces, meanwhile, held landing and paratrooping attacks along with aerial shelling on hostile targets using multitask fighter jets. At the end of the drill, the defense minister hailed the troops' distinguished performance and hoped that the next edition of the exercises witnessed the participation of more countries to allow the opportunity for the exchange of more military concepts. And in line with the directives of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi, Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Badr Abdul Ati today met Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim ibn Hamad al-Thani as part of his visit to Doha. The Foreign Minister conveyed President al-Sisi's greetings to the Qatari Emir, asserting Egypt's solidarity with the Qatari side in the wake of the Israeli flagrant assaults on his territory. Abdul Ati branded the attack as a blatant breach of sovereignty of Qatar, as well as of the international law and United Nations Charter. He added that such an aggression is dangerous, is a dangerous precedent, not only targeting Qatar, but rather hitting the Arab national security. Qatar announced today that its capital will host an emergency Arab Islamic summit next Sunday and Monday. The Qatari foreign minister said that the summit will discuss the Israeli occupation unprecedented attack on Doha that targeted the Palestinian resistance Hamas leaders on Tuesday. Rotating President South Korea said that the UN Security Council will hold an emergency meeting to discuss the Israeli attack on Qatar today. The South Korean presidency said in a statement that the Security Council postponed the emergency meeting at the Qatar's request so that the Prime Minister of Qatar can take part in the meeting. And humanitarian aid convoys continued passing into the Gaza Strip within the Zaid al-Izza initiative. The 35th truck is bound for the Gaza zone through Rafah border to Karma Abu Salim crossing before it enters the Strip. The convoy carries food aid, including wheat and baby formula, as well as medical supplies under the supervision of Egyptian Red Crescent. The convoy is part of Egypt's the efforts to alleviate the sufferings of the Palestinian people in Gaza Strip. And Poland said today it had called an emergency meeting of an UN Security Council to discuss the violations of its airspace a day after it accused Russia of carrying out a drone raid on its territory. Polish President Karol Nawrocki said the incident was an attempt to test the mechanism of the action within NATO and Poland's readiness to respond. Poland said the incident was not accidental and branded it as unprecedented attack on Poland, NATO and the European Union, but Moscow denied targeting the country and said there was no evidence the drones were Russian. Russian drones and missiles have entered the airspace of NATO members, including Poland, several times since Moscow launched its military operations in Ukraine in 2022, but no NATO country has ever attempted to shoot them down. And the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA agency head Rafael Grossi said that Iran's new cooperation framework with the UN nuclear watchdog includes facilities and installations in the country. Grossi said the agreed document provides a clear understanding of the procedures for inspections. He added that it also includes all facilities and installations in Iran, and it contemplates the required reporting on all attacked facilities, including the nuclear material present at those facilities. However, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi appeared to downplay the extent of the deal, saying the agreement itself does not create access for IAEA inspectors. Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat. She received Tunisian Minister of Trade and Exports Development, Samir Obeid, and reviewed means to enhance the joint cooperation. Al-Mashat stressed on the significance of the deep historic ties binding the two countries, expressing hope that the current Egyptian-Tunisian Joint Higher Committee will further strengthen the bilateral cooperation, namely in investment and trade fields. Al-Mashat highlighted the significance of cooperation with the Egyptian and Tunisian private sectors in line with the state's plan to continue implementing economic reforms. Egypt's bourse closed higher today amid purchases by local investors, Arab and foreign corporations against sell-offs by Arab corporations and investment funds. The market capital of listed companies added 81 billion Egyptian pounds, reaching 2.7 trillion pounds at the weekend transactions. The benchmark index EGX 30 rose 0.77%. The equal weighted indices EGX 70 and EGX 100 both climbed 0.11%. The oil prices today, as ample supply, the crude helps offset this week's escalation of tensions in the Middle East over the Russian-Ukraine crisis. Also, today, the International Energy Agency said global oil supply hit a record high in August as OPEC Plus and other countries ramped up production, with the looming surplus keeping prices in check. The U.S. crude was flat at $63.65 a barrel, while Brent was little changed at $67.49. That ends this edition of the English News for now. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for more.